We have a pretty significant update regarding the ongoing lawsuit against the progressive rock legends Yes. As you may recall, we previously reported that Yes was facing a copyright infringement lawsuit over their 2021 single Dare to Know from the album Bequest. This suit, filed by musician Riz Story, claims that the track borrows elements from his song Reunion, which was featured on his 2014 film A Winter Rose. Now, Jon Davison, the band's lead vocalist, has issued a response, and it is extensive. In his statement, Davison frames the situation as one involving a former friend whose career never reached the heights he had hoped for. According to Davison, this individual's growing obsession with his own lack of success and his envy of Davidson's achievements ultimately led him to take this vengeful legal action. The emotional toll of the situation has had on Davison is evident in his response, and he comes across as deeply affected by the events. For the record, I do find Davidson's account to make a lot of sense. Now, in all fairness to Jon Davison, I'm going to read his full response. Dear friends in the worldwide family of Yes, it's hard to put into words how it feels to wake up one day and hear that person who I thought was a friend has brought not only an utterly fictitious but also a defamatory case against me. While my initial reaction is to say nothing in the face of these blatant lies and this frivolous lawsuit, I feel I must address the personal slander that has been included within it, as I have been so deeply hurt, as have my loved ones. I would also like to express a sincere thank you for the immense support I have received both online and personally since this has hit the press. When we were told about this slanderous and fictitious claim, I simply couldn't believe it. How could a friend make something like this up? So I wrote to Riz and his lawyer in good faith and tried to show them that they had no case. And then I had evidence to support a very different story. Even in the light of this dishonest claim, for the sake of the log friendship, we urged Mr. Caldwell to go back to his client and get the full and truthful picture of these 12 years, and then reassess the lack of evidence. I also included some notes that we made about this musicologist report, a report that is seriously flawed and uses deceptive methods to force a similarity that is not there. I wrote to them in the sincere hope that I could save my friend from the actual facts becoming known that could potentially be defamatory, and I wanted to protect him from a countersuit. Our lawyer tells me that legal costs can be claimed in frivolous and vexatious claims, that I genuinely wanted to spare my friend from something that could be life-changing should we win that claim. His lawyer in Riz refused to address it, even when our manager Martin asked them to reply. Instead of a response, we received threatening emails, and then we awoke to read in Rolling Stone that the lawsuit had been issued. It seems that the publicity of the case was more important than having any evidence or facts, and as the slander within is now being republished, I have been compelled to reply and do so with the blessing of my fellow bandmates. For the record, I did not write Dare to Know. As anyone who studies the Yes albums will know, meticulous care is taken on every song to correctly credit the songwriters. On The Quest, I have credits on 6 of 11 songs, hardly the nearly every other song that is incorrectly stated in their claim to try and support their fiction. Nor did I ever hear the musical composition supposedly called Reunion, or see the indie film A Winter Rose. Riz sent me a 2-minute trailer for A Winter Rose, and out of politeness I congratulated him, but had no interest in seeing the film. Frankly, I was turned off by Riz's filmmaking after his first release was borderline pornographic in nature. I'm not even sure if A Winter Rose has a theatrical release after the premiere, which I most certainly did not attend. It is also a complete fabrication to suggest that I discussed the music from the film with Riz. I never saw the film, the composition isn't even on the soundtrack album, so I couldn't even have stumbled across it by accident. I can also categorically confirm that I have never heard this piece of music before the film was released. Our time as bandmates lasted only a few months when we were kids. Contrary to the narrative that has been told by Riz, Taylor and I were not founding members of this band. Riz, Taylor Hawkins, and I met in 1992 when Taylor and I were 20 and 21, and Riz was 26, and formed a band that Riz called Blash Meth. I left before the band became Sylvia with a different lineup, and it was 2001, before the band Anyone, again with a different lineup, made an album. Soon after, our lives began their very different directions. Taylor joined Sash Jordan in 1994, then Alanis Morissette, and then the Foo Fighters. And I moved to Seattle and joined Sky Cries Mary in 1993, and then eventually joined, as Riz described it, my favorite band since long before I met you, Yes. Any suggestion that I might have heard this generic melody when we were younger, let alone thought it was worthy of Yes, is utterly absurd. The first time I heard it was when Riz's lawyer sent it to us, although bizarrely he wasn't able to send Reunion and only sent a link to the 2019 director's cut of his film on Amazon with a time code. We did ask the lawyer for a copy of the actual composition, but it was not provided. We note that Riz's company has now put the 2019 film clip up on YouTube. As I'm sure many of you have now heard, this generic melody is common and predictable, with origins in traditional music dating as far back as the Renaissance era. Numerous examples have been made. It is almost identical to the opening guitar riff in Santana's Black Magic Woman, or to the traditional descending melodies such as Tommaso Giordani's Caro Mio Band from 1782. The list is endless. Put simply, this is a basic sequence that can be found in hundreds of compositions, and contrary to their analysis by Dr. Lusting, we believe confirms how the similarity has occurred by chance alone. With regard to Dr. Lusting, we also ran our own comparison on his website's copyright checker tool, which gave us a significantly lower percentage rating, absolutely nowhere near his own expert report. Make of that what you will. We are also concerned that he failed to address prior art in his analysis. It is our belief that this has been purposefully omitted, as inclusion of it would rule out any infringement, as it would bring to the fact that this is simply a sequence that can be found in numerous pieces of music over centuries. As for the claim of stealing, any suggestion of this is slander, and I will defend my name on this both in terms of this claim and any republication. I take great pride in the challenge of songwriting. The rewarding part of it for me is proving to myself that I can do it. I therefore can never live with myself or have any satisfaction from the process if I was to cheat my way through it. With the honored responsibility I've been tasked with to be a prominent songwriter for the band, a band known for its rich complexity of music, why on earth would I ever jeopardize all that by stealing a simple melody so commonplace? Would I then be able to convince the great Steve Howe, who helped craft Yes's finest music, to steal this melody? I did not steal this note sequence, which is now called Reunion. If it's actually called that, it appears to be simply a section of a film score, but based on Riz's interactions with me, it is utterly inconceivable that he could have believed this for more than 3 years since the release of Dare to Know. Riz has always followed my career with Yes closely, and in September 21, he contacted me about our new album. In October 2021, he wrote telling me how much he loved The Quest. Apparently, he felt it was definitely your best work yet, and since then, even until August of this year, Riz has written to me some 50 times or so, to which I have always replied as a friend. He even, as a guest of Yes, attended the Riverside show in October 2022, where the band performed Dare to Know. Afterwards, he spent a pleasant time with me and my wife backstage. It's also questionable when you review the evidence that this lawsuit has manipulated the date that he says he discovered this to January 2022. It was October 2021, and as he said on a Facebook post on November 15, 2024, subsequently deleted, but we have a record, he instantly recognized it. I'll be honest, it has been really hard reading through these emails, revisiting how I tried to help his career over and over, but at the same time I can hear what I believe to be his frustration that his own personal success does not match his own expectations. As Riz said in his email in January this year, "Pace yourself, Wano, you became the lead singer of the greatest band that ever existed." This comment I previously thought was friendly, but in the current light, it has taken on a much darker hue. What has resonated with me in reading the evidence, and I will note that there is only so much I can share, as certain evidence needs to be retained should this frivolous lawsuit continue. It's just how many times over the years, Riz has attempted to work with Yes, be it as a producer, remixer, remaster, or as a client of our manager, or getting signed to our record label. Each attempt has led to rejection. During 2022-2023, and even this year, Riz asked me on at least 5 occasions to put him in touch with our manager, Martin Darville, which I did. He also asked me if I could do anything to help him get a record deal with Inside Out, both of which are noted in this lawsuit. On each occasion, I did what I could to help my friend, but each time he was rejected, and I have an email in July 2023 where he tells me that no one has been interested and he has been shut down, as he titled it, going to say, "You're very fortunate to be in a legacy band." He also released 2 songs that I've recorded vocals for in 2019 on 2 of his albums in 2021 and 2023, abundantly using my name and that of Yes in the press release. While his narrative was never quite true, I remained willing to help my friend wherever possible. In April this year, he contacted me to share exciting news about a big move he was making that involved 2 films he was going to make for Netflix about his band Anyone, and was, as he said, in the bag. He continued, "My attorney Larry assures me that this will be the thing that garners the major musical success that has thus far eluded me." Riz asked me to appear in both the documentary and the concert film. Finally, as recent as August of this year, he wrote to ask me again to help his career by spreading the word about his talents and mentioned that he was working on a new album. And all this was done while he supposedly thought I'd stolen a melody from him? If it wasn't so heartbreaking, it would be funny. The truth and the evidence we have to support it show the real story, and I can only imagine what happened between August this year and now for him to go down such a road and invent this claim. I repeat, I did not steal this sequence, and there was never any infringement. This picture of Riz hoping to work with Yes, and I'm sorry to say failing, goes back to when I joined the band. While I did agree to put him forward as a producer for Heaven and Earth, I also made it clear to our manager that I didn't feel he had the right vibe for Yes, after he was then unanimously rejected, and following its release, he contacted me to say how much he loved my rating, but he wanted to express his frustration at the mix, and how he could do it better. He asked me to get him the files, so that he could do his own mix, free of charge, just to demonstrate how much better I can make it sound, and as an old friend, I'm eager to help. This unsolicited offer was not welcomed by the band and went nowhere. In 2015, he contacted me to tell me he had felt the critically acclaimed Steven Wilson remix of Relayer was so poorly done that he took it upon himself to produce his own remix and asked me to submit it to Yes for consideration. He described his version as superior in every way and clearly involved many hours of work, and said he was sure if the band did a comparison, they would take pleasure in hearing To Be Over how it was finally meant to be. I eventually had to write and let him know that the band had not given any thought or any enthusiasm to it. Those of you who know me will also know my deep friendship with Taylor Hawkins, who I miss terribly and still wish he were here to give me some words of wisdom on this sorry situation. I was privy to some of the serious problems that took place over the years between Taylor and Riz and the breakdown of the relationship, and I'm sorry to find out that Taylor was right. Not only did Riz email me about working with Yes, our manager and our record label, he also sent me congratulations on the catalog sale to Warner Music Group, wondering if money would trickle to me and saying, "Steve must be stoked." I will be talking to our lawyer about the next steps, but Riz and his lawyer have made false and I believe defamatory statements about me, statements I know they have no evidence for and which I can prove are untrue. There appears to be an almost reckless disregard for the truth, and we believe this possibly has been done with the intention of damaging my reputation, one that I have worked very hard to earn over so many years. I have always shared my love of Yes and the immense privilege I feel to be part of this incredible band, and I am grateful to the fans who have come to accept me over the years, so you can imagine how it feels to have a friend and his lawyer put all that at risk. Our lawyer described this as a shakedown, and I can see no better word for it. It is our belief, and perhaps a court that will be the only place to demonstrate it, that this claim has arisen due to the last 12 years of rejection by, as Riz calls them, his favorite band ever. I wanted to help my friend, and so I did my very best for him, but every attempt that he has made has been met with polite refusal and disinterest. Rather than me stealing his generic piece of music, a piece of music I have never heard before this lawsuit, it appears they are trying to steal a credit on our album. In closing, it is irrelevant to compare the situation with the Ice Bridge. That was an error that has been explained and that was resolved like gentlemen. If there has been any truth to this claim by Riz, then we would have done the same thing. There is not. That is why it has not been settled and why I feel compelled to defend my honor and integrity here today, and in court if necessary. For now, my hope remains that sense prevails. Again, I say deep thank you to all the loving support that surrounds me. Jon Davison, November 18th, 2024. We will leave a link for each video in our description if you want to listen for yourselves to hear the similarities. Share your thoughts in the comments. We will keep you updated on any developments, and we thank you for watching Rock Buzz.